What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 6, Episode 6, Dangerous Liaison. So let's start off with Jasmine and Gino. When they're not making me laugh, they are a chore to watch. It's not easy to watch Jasmine and Gino because they're not really giving me much of anything. It's just the same old, same old. So anyway, Jasmine sneaks away to talk to her ex, Dane. Jasmine confides in her ex-boyfriend about all the issues that she's having with Gino, including the fact that he wants her to sign a prenup. She talks to Dane about their intimacy issues, how Gino doesn't want her physically, and how Gino doesn't like how she's so assertive. So Dane, he soothes her, he consoles her, he tells her that you're the kind of woman that knows exactly what she wants and you know how to speak your mind, and he's just not used to that because he's not a confident man. And you need to be with a man that's more confident. So Jasmine loves to hear this. Like the problem isn't her, the problem is somebody else. The problem is Gino. So then he suggests to her that what they might need to do is maybe they need to go do counseling or have therapy, couples therapy. So she says she's going to consider that, but I don't think they're going to do that. So moving on from there, Gino and Jasmine, they go do a workout, and Jasmine is the one that's leading the workout. So she has him doing these hip thrust movements. It was very cringy to watch. Both of them were doing it. It was absolutely cringeworthy. I don't know what this was all for, what this was all about. I think she was trying to get him to I don't know, be better in bed or something, because she said that he's very robotic in bed and he claims that he's not. I mean, how do y'all know what the hell he is? Because y'all rarely do anything. So after that, of course, she brings up their intimacy issues again. I'm at the point now where I'm like, Jasmine, maybe you need to move on to somebody else. I don't know if this is about you coming to America or if you're really about love. I don't know what your end goal is, Jasmine, but whatever it is, it's not really working out with Gino. So once again, she brings up their intimacy issues, and she's very open to whatever he wants, because she suggests to him, well, what do you want? Tell me your fantasy of what you want. I'll do it for you. Do you want to tie me up? Do you want to dominate me? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So she leaves the door wide open for him to do whatever he wants, letting him know that she's down for whatever. The only thing that he can tell her is that I don't have any interest when we argue. And she tells him, but there's times when we don't argue and you still have no interest in me. So what is your excuse there? He had nothing to say to that. So she's really trying to work with him to help him out with his issues, but I don't think he's being honest about what his issue is. And I think that's the reason why this issue will never get solved, because he might have low testosterone. He might just not be interested in her at all. So he's not willing to really dig deep and figure out what the issue is. He'd rather pop a blue pill and just continue to lead her on to making her feel like she's the problem when maybe she's not even the problem. So I don't know, but I'm getting quite bored with their intimacy issues. So moving on from there, later on in the night, Jasmine takes Gino to go meet up with a couple of her friends. So the conversation quickly turns sexual, and Gino has no interest, and so he wants to change the subject. So from talking about sexual things, they move on to talk about cheating. So it's like jumping out of the fire into the skillet. So they talk about cheating, and Gino mentions how Jasmine was talking to her ex-boyfriend, and he knew about it because she did confess to him earlier in the day that she did sneak away to go talk to her ex-boyfriend. And Gino obviously didn't like that because there's a double standard in their relationship. Gino is basically like, there's no way in hell that Jasmine would ever allow me to talk to any of my exes, but I'm supposed to be okay with her talking to her ex-boyfriend. Now, Jasmine had said in one of her confessionals that the reason why it's okay for her to talk to her ex, but Gino cannot talk to his, is because she knows how to separate feelings from, she knows how to keep the conversations with her ex very platonic. It's not about any type of an attraction. It's not about anything like that. She's just talking to her ex as a friend, whereas Gino doesn't know how to do that. I don't know why she says he doesn't know how to do that, because we haven't seen any evidence of him having inappropriate conversations with his ex. But last season, or whatever season that was, he was communicating with his ex only to make his ex jealous about the fact that he upgraded. He found a woman who was way more beautiful than his ex, and so he wanted to show off Jasmine to his ex. Other than that, I don't know of any situations where he was having inappropriate conversations with an ex, but Jasmine is just very insecure, and they should just have like a policy between them where we just don't communicate with our exes, period, because you don't want to have a double standard in your relationship. So there's a moment where Gino has an opportunity to talk to one of Jasmine's friends alone, and he expresses his concern about Jasmine talking to her ex. And so the friend tells Gino, yes, she was dating him right before she was dating you, or right before she met you, but trust me, there's nothing going on there. Jasmine is not the kind of woman who would cheat on her boyfriend, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't know if Gino's going to make a big deal about this. I don't know if the show's going to make a big deal about this, but I'm pretty sure Jasmine is not cheating on Gino, so I really don't want to talk about Jasmine and Dane anymore, because I know that she's not fooling around with this guy. So it's just really a non-issue to me, and I don't want it to be like a part of their storyline. I want their storyline to be that she got approved for the visa, and I want to know the dates of when she's coming to America so we can move on with this relationship. Violet and Riley. So they plan to meet Violet's mom and her kids, but first she takes him to a dress shop or a tailor to get something custom made, because she has plans to take him around somewhere and he has to be dressed in traditional Vietnamese clothing. And so she takes him to a tailor to get something made, something custom made for him. So while the woman is measuring him, the woman is asking questions about Violet and Riley's relationship. She's asking, like, who is this to you? I forgot these other. She was asking some, I thought they were kind of inappropriate questions, but I don't know if Violet knew this woman, if they were already friends, and that's why, she felt comfortable asking these questions. But she was asking Violet some type of questions about Riley. I think she even asked how big was it or something. I don't know. So, Violet ends up telling the seamstress, that, yeah, this is my boyfriend or something like that. He's really old and ugly. And I think Riley asked her, what are y'all talking about? Because I think y'all are talking about me or something like that. And Violet had no shame in her game. And she was like, yeah, I told her that you were old and ugly. And he was so shocked, he had to sit down. Okay. It just knocked him off his feet. So he was like, you really said that about me? And she's like, yeah, I said that. I said that you were old and ugly. And so he was like really taken aback by that. And he couldn't believe it. And I think he was waiting for her to be like, oh, I'm just joking. I didn't tell her that. I told her that you were really sweet, my handsome, good looking man. But no, that did not come at all. But in her confessional, she claims that she was just joking. Oh, because the seamstress had said that he looked old or something because he had a gray hair in his beard. And that's when Violet said, yeah, he's old and ugly. But in her confessional, she says that, oh, I was just joking. I don't know why he took it so seriously. Girl, he took it seriously because you never followed it up with, I'm just joking. You just kept on saying over and over again, yeah, I told her you're old and ugly. And his feelings were really hurt by that. So then they walk out of the dress shop and she gets a text message, and he happened to glance over, and I guess he saw a picture of a man without a shirt on. So he questions her on who the hell is that? Who are you texting? And she says, oh, it's just a friend. And so he says, well, if it's just a friend, let me see it. She's like, no. And then she says to him, so then he gets upset and he walks away because they're going back and forth about this. He's like, are you talking to another guy? What's going on? Why can't I look at your phone? And she's telling him, no, it's none of your business. This is just my friend. So he walks away. He's upset. He's like, good luck. Have a nice life. He walks away. But of course, he doesn't really walk away. So the next time that we see them, they're having a conversation because he didn't get too far. Because I'm like, where are you going? Do you even know where you're going? So she has a conversation with him. And she says that the shirtless man on her phone is her coworker / friend. And she's trying to hook him up with one of her girlfriends. Riley, if you believe this, if you fall for this, you are just the biggest idiot. You're a bigger idiot than Tyree. So I guess this was able to appease him. So they're still going to go through with seeing her mom and her kids. And she basically tells them, when we go see my mom and my children, because, they're arguing right now about this shirtless guy on her phone. So she tells them, when we go see my mom and my kids, you need to fix your face. Don't have that sour look on your face, because it's very disrespectful. And they have to go through with meeting her family, because if they don't, her mom is going to think it's disrespectful of Riley to cancel the plans. So they end up going to the mother's house. They arrive at the mother's house, and Riley says that he feels a crazy amount of joy when he sees her family. He's already developed a relationship with her daughters because they've communicated back and forth several times while he was living in the U.S. So they all sit down for dinner, and it's just not her two daughters. She also has a son, which I'm like, how come the son was never previously mentioned? But anyways, so they all sit down for dinner. It's Riley, it's Violet, her three kids, and her mom. And before they start eating, he presents the daughters only with gifts. So he had brought them bags and purses and shoes and stuff, but he brought nothing for the mother. And the mother noticed this because, her face completely fell when she realized that there were no gifts for her. And she says in their own language that it's very rude and disrespectful to come to someone's home, someone that you are courting or dating, and you don't bring any gifts for their parents. So already the mom is turned off by Riley. So while they're having their conversations, she's asking questions about Riley, and she says that she's heard how Riley has talked to her daughter, and I'm pretty sure Violet has told her mom everything going on in her relationship with Riley. And the mom says, I don't like his temper. He has a really bad temper. So Violet translates this to Riley. Of course, Riley's going to be like, okay, yeah, I'll work on my temper. And then one of her daughters tells him, and you call our mom a liar. And that's a very strong word in our culture. And it's very disrespectful to call her a liar. And then the mother steps in and says, Vietnamese women are very good, respectful women. They're very faithful women. And, you're calling her all kinds of names. And basically, they're trying to set him straight. They're like, you know what? We peeped you. We know how you operate, and we really don't like it. And if you want to continue this relationship with Violet, you're going to have to do some changes. She even asked him, well, aren't you going to eat? I mean, his stomach was so worked up, he didn't even want to eat. His appetite was gone because he knew the questions were coming. He couldn't even eat. Y'all, this trip to Vietnam so far for Riley, I don't know what good it's done the relationship. It's like everything so far has just been a complete fail. It's just been like a horrible trip as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think that she's really done anything to help gain his trust. And Violet, to me, she just seems like she's just about game. I don't think she's taking him seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if she's talking to 5, 6, 7 other guys. I don't know if her end goal is to come to America or have men just send money to her. But to me, Violet's like a player. So, good luck, Riley. Moving on, we have a new couple. So we have Statler, 33 years old, from Irving, Texas. And then we have Dempsey. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but she looks to be about like her late 20s or so. And she's from England. But in this episode, we got to know Statler. So Statler, like I said, she's from Texas. When we see her, she's catching bugs outside. And she says that she really relates to bugs because nobody notices them and they're weird. And that's how she describes herself in a nutshell. She has ADHD. She was adopted as a newborn because her adoptive parents already had 2 boys and they really wanted to have a girl. So to guarantee on having a girl in those days, you adopt a girl. So she always felt like the odd one out in her family. Her brothers were overachievers. They were accomplished academically. She wasn't. She struggled with school because of her ADHD. She was always failing her classes, etc. So she always felt like she was a disappointment to her parents. And when she got older and she came out as gay, she felt like she was even a bigger disappointment to her parents. So she's always sought love and acceptance, and it really showed in this episode. So her being adopted, she has abandonment issues, people leaving her, breaking up with her. And she's always looking for love and acceptance, like I said before. So she met Dempsey on an international dating app. Now, before she talks about Dempsey, she gives us a glimpse of what her life was like, I guess, as a single woman in Texas. And she was running wild. She talks about sex a lot. She talks about all the different places that she's done it. She's very sexual, like overtly sexual. And to me, I kind of took that as someone who is very insecure about themselves, and they don't really, maybe they're afraid to be their true self. They're afraid just to be themselves. And so they feel like that they can make people like them by showing how sexual they are. Kind of like, how some girls are with guys. For some reason, they just don't want to have a simple conversation with the guy. They feel like they have to be very sexual in order to have guys like them. And I think that's how she is. But in this situation, it's with other girls. So she met Dempsey on an international dating app. They've been talking back and forth for about 7 months, and now she's getting ready to go to England. And she tells us that if everything goes well in England, she wants to stay with Dempsey. She wants to stay there and live with Dempsey. But Dempsey doesn't know this, okay? Dempsey probably thinks it's just going to be a short visit and that's it. But if things go well, she actually wants to move and live permanently in England. So she's also someone who likes to really rush into relationships and rush into things, because I'm like, how can you even think about living with someone when you haven't even met them in person yet? You have no idea if you're going to get along with them, but already you're like mentally making plans on moving to England and living with this person. So later on, we see Statler and her friend. They go to a chocolate, I don't know what it was, a chocolate sex toy cafe. I have no idea. You eat chocolate and everything is so sexual. Y'all, I don't know what was going on. So while they're there at this, chocolate sex cafe, Statler says that Dempsey is not as kinky as she is, and so she wonders if that's going to be a problem in their relationship. Well, you've only known her for 7 months. You haven't physically met yet, so I'm pretty sure you don't know everything about her, and she's probably someone who's just a little bit, more reserved, a little bit more conservative. But like, how kinky do you want someone to be after knowing them for only 7 months and it's long distance? So Statler is really hoping that she can move in with Dempsey. And she talks about her ex. And she says that she had met another girl from England. They got along really, really well. I think she said that, did she go visit her in England? I don't remember if she went to go visit her in England. But she was ready to move in with her. So when she got ready to move in with her, I think she did go see her in England. And then when she came back to the United States to get everything ready to go move in with her, the ex broke up with her right before she was supposed to return back. So this left her very devastated. She didn't know why this was happening, because they were like the best of friends. She talks about how it was hard for her. She said she cried for an entire week straight. She said that, it was hard for her because this person was like her best friend and they talked all the time. And all of a sudden, that girl wasn't there anymore. And it left this huge void in her life. And she was really struggling. So she talks to her ex now and then. Okay. She still talks to her ex now and then, which I don't think is a good idea, but whatever. And the ex even volunteered to meet her at the airport. And I think Statler declined. I think she did decline that. So the ex is still like very much, the ex ends up telling her at some point that she really regrets breaking up with Statler and she wishes that things could have been different between them. So Statler was like, why would you even do that if you know the issues that I have with abandonment? I have all these abandonment issues. I think Statler needs to see a therapist to cure her abandonment issues, because this is causing her to jump into relationships way too fast, and then she ends up getting her heart broken, and it's just like a vicious cycle with her. So her friend says that Statler moves too fast and that she needs to take time to get to know her partners better before she starts considering moving in with them. Statler's definitely not going to be slowing down, because she keeps talking about, hey, I really want to move in with Dempsey if everything works out. So she's she's on her way to the airport and she gets a message from Dempsey saying that she's stuck in Thailand, so she may not be able to arrive in London on time. So Statler now is worried whether or not they're going to be able to meet on time, or if the girl's going to be there waiting for her at the airport, or what. So we'll figure out what happens next week with Statler and Dempsey, Sheila and David. So when we see Sheila and David, they're waking up there the next morning, and we have to endure listening to excruciating details about donuts and bananas and pain. And it was just a little bit too much, y'all. It was just way too much. Like, why are we talking about this on television? Why can't y'all just say that we had a nice night together, but we didn't, nothing happened, or we didn't consummate our relationship, or just leave it at that? I don't want to hear about things not fitting. I don't want to hear about pain when trying to make things fit. I don't want to hear that at all. So after that's said and done, Lord have mercy. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So much more was said. If you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. So, he allows her to go through his phone because he wants to have a very open and transparent relationship with Sheila. He doesn't want to hide anything. He wants to make sure that they have trust for one another. So she's going through his phone and she comes across some messages between David and another female. And in the messages, David asks this person, this other female, do you have a boyfriend? So Sheila questions it. And he says, oh, don't worry about that. One of my friends wanted to talk. She's my friend. I think that's what he says. She's one of my friends from school, and one of my other friends wanted to talk to her. So I was just trying to hook them up and and ask her if she had a boyfriend, if she was, available. That's all that is. So then after that, she takes him to the market. They go to the market. I think they do probably some sightseeing, and then they have a conversation about their relationships. So they talk about how they've both been cheated on in their past relationships. And then this is where I kind of got confused. David said that he didn't want to tell Sheila that his ex-girlfriend was also deaf and that they communicated through sign language, and that communication with his ex was a lot better and a lot easier than it is with Sheila because Sheila doesn't know American Sign Language. And I'm thinking to myself, why would she be jealous of that? Because he says she's going to be jealous and she's going to think that I'm still in love with my ex. So I didn't understand how he concluded that just because the communication was better with the ex, this would mean to Sheila that he's still in love with his ex. I didn't understand that. But keep y'all's love's life and y'all's bedroom issues to yourselves, please. Like, it's not necessary to move the show along. Moving on to Christian and Cleo. So Christian has finally arrived in London. Now, we do remember that in last week's episode, Christian said that he wasn't sure if he was going to kiss Cleo at the airport because his family has been giving him such grief about dating a transgendered woman. So everybody, of course, who was watching was wondering to see, are they actually going to kiss? Is he going to try to avoid the kiss? What's really going on? So when they did meet at the airport, they did kiss, and he was very proud of it. He grabbed her face and kissed her, and it was sweet. It was really, really sweet. And you could tell that Cleo felt very relieved that he was able to do that. He was able to push through and kiss her. So the thing is that even though, they liked each other when they saw each other, Christian said that he did feel very anxious and he felt very awkward, being seeing Cleo in person. So Christian says, so they're out there. She takes him to her apartment and she introduces him to her cats, and she refers to him as her cat's daddy, and because she was like, hey boys, daddy's home. And Christian was like, okay, I'm not their daddy yet. I'm just Uncle Christian for now. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you really trying to say, Christian? I mean, she was just joking. Okay, obviously she was just kidding. Like, why did you feel the need to clarify that I'm not their daddy yet? Anyways, so Cleo says that she does feel chemistry between them, the way that she felt when they communicated online, but she also feels pressure because Christian has never dated a transgendered woman. And so After that, which I thought was kind of strange, was basically as soon as they arrived at the apartment, Christian just wanted to go to bed. And I thought that was a little bit rude. And I understand it was a very long flight, but I thought maybe they would have gone out at least for a drink or something, or stayed up and had a drink and ordered a pizza and talked and got to know each other better. But I guess he was really tired. So when they go to bed, I was surprised to see that they actually slept in the same bed. So when I saw that they slept in the same bed, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's why he wanted to go to bed really quickly, because he wants to, So I don't know. There's a lot of confusion between Christian and Cleo. Cleo said that she's getting mixed signals from Christian, so we'll see what happens. I felt like Christian was uncomfortable. I felt like Christian, even though he did kiss her at the airport, I did get the sense that this is probably not what he expected. I did see the awkwardness between them. They're very, very awkward with one another. She was even a little bit self-conscious about her height. And he made a joke about how, oh, don't worry about that. The taller they are, the higher I have to climb or something. So he made a joke about that, I guess, to kind of set her at ease. But there was definitely tension, not tension, but awkwardness between them. It definitely was there. It was definitely showing, especially after they came to the apartment. And I think Cleo complimented Christian and said something like, what did she say? She said, you are, I forgot what she said, basically making him feel like he was really good looking. She said something like, you're one of those guys that are like out of my league, or the kind of guys that are really hard to get, or something like that. And he just completely blushed. He thought it was the sweetest thing. He loved that compliment. But I'm like, girl, don't blow up his ego like that, especially since we don't really know how he really feels about you. Don't go blow up his ego like that. Keep that to yourself. Let him, compliment you. But anyways, like I said, there is some definite awkwardness between Christian and Cleo, but we'll see how it all works out. Now, they showed us a clip of what's coming up next week, and him trying to talk to other girls at the bar, and then so we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.